that make you? Let's say you start with the back seat and somebody brings you up forward. What would happen to you? What are you looked at as?
They're rising you in
You're
stature.
You're rising. You're moving up.
They're making you.
You're moving up.
Yeah.
You're more honorable. Okay.
Like the
so
Jeffersons.
here's she's.
Moving on up to the east side.
Finish your point, Mark.
No. I was joking, but I was, that if you start from the back, well, you know me. If you start from the back and then you start moving forward, you are risen or given more esteem and importance by having somebody say, right. No, come and move up.
Now, what I want to happen here is I want Mark and Felix. Are you guys on the Bible or no?
Yeah, we have it in front of us.
Okay, I want Mark or Felix to read verse 11, and verse 11 is going to give you the point of that little story. Go ahead.
For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. In other words, if you take the humble approach, it's never a good thing to praise yourself. It's always better when somebody else heaps praise upon you. Basically, when you have to toot your own horn, it doesn't do anything. It's better when somebody else comes to you and pays you a compliment.
That's right. So is it better to be humble or exalted?
Oh, it's better to be humble, of course.
Better to be humble. Now, why is Jesus telling religious people this?
Because the Pharisees have always had this line of demarcation between the ordinary Jew and themselves.
That's right.
In the Jewish religion, you have 3 ratings. You have the Kohen, which are like the priests, the Levites, and then the Yisrael. The Yisrael are the ordinary people. That's me. I'm an ordinary Jewish kid. Okay? My brother-in-law is considered a Kohen. His last name is Klein. Okay? And the Levites are the ones in the middle. But interestingly enough, during Moses' time, the Levites were the ones, I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, the Levites were the ones where the priests sprang up from. The tribe of Levi were the priests.
Yes.
But wait, I thought Moses came from that tribe. Apparently his blanket was Levi when he was found.
Right.
So he was.
He was a Levite.
Right.
He wore Levi jeans?
Oh, come on, Felix.
I must be rubbing off on you. You have this sense of humor of a teacher. You realize that? Yeah.
Must be.
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's continue. You guys are on the right track now. They do have this type of self-righteousness in them. Now, Jesus is telling them this for a reason. Let's continue with verse 12 and see if we can uncover more. Okay? He said also to the man who had invited him, who is what? Who is the man that invited Jesus, Elisa? Who is the man that invited Jesus to a dinner?
We're talking about the chief Pharisees.
Very good. So we're still in this room. We're still talking to the chief Pharisees and all of his buddies. So he said also to the chief Pharisee who invited him, when you give a dinner or a banquet, do not invite your friends or your brothers. And I'm not going to finish this. Why would he say, Elisa, when you give a dinner, don't invite your friends and your brothers to this dinner or rich neighbors? Why? Why do you think, before you read on to that second part of that verse there, why do you think he says don't do that?
I guess I'm assuming not to show off or don't look like you're a better person than the other.
Well, it gives you the answer. Read on to part B of that verse. Go ahead, Elisa. That's yours.
Wait, we're on verse 12, right?
We're reading.
Yeah, verse 12. I read the first part of it, and I want you to read the second part. So he says, do not invite your friends or your brothers to this dinner, or your relatives or rich neighbors, lest what?
Lest they also bid thee again, and a recompense be made thee.
What in the world? You must be reading a really old King James version. Yeah,
I am. I'm reading an old King James version. Wait, I have another version.
Actually, I'm reading one that Felix wrote himself.
And they also bid thee again. And same thing on ours here. It's King James, yeah.
I have another. I printed out two different versions. I printed out the King James version and something from United States Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Alrighty.
But I think it also says the same thing. Hold on a second.
Stay away from those bishops.
Then he said to the host who invited him, when you hold a lunch or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your wealthy neighbors, in case they may invite you back and you have repayment.
There you go. So what would be the point of Jesus telling them, don't invite rich people to this banquet? Why?
Because they're going to return the favor.
That's right.
Want to return the favor.
That's right. Lest they also invite you in return and repay you in like manner. Now, verse 13. That when you give a feast, invite who, Elisa?
Invite the poor, the crippled, and the lame, and the blind.
Right, stop right there. Now stop right there. Why? Think about what Jesus just said in verse 12.
Because they're not going to invite you back.
Go to the arrow.
No. It's not that they won't invite you back. It's they can't what?
They can't return the favor.
They can't repay.
They can't repay. Good. Now look at verse 14. And you will be blessed because they cannot repay you. Guys, what does verse 11, 12, and 13, and 14? Well, actually, where are we? Right here. Starting in verse 7.
Don't look to any repayment. Just do it for kindness of good.
Right, and you will be repaid. You will be repaid at the resurrection. That's when you will get your reward.
God will bless you. Right, but what is the H word that Jesus is teaching them? Remember, they're prideful, Elisa. So what is he teaching them?
Humble. Be humble.
Be humble.
Be humble. Be very humble. Now, look what happens here. One of those who reclined at the table, and where is he right now? Where is he, Elisa?
He's still at the
wedding.
He's still at the Pharisees' house. He's having a dinner with them. Okay.
Right.
When one of those who reclined at the table with them heard these things, he said, this guy just stands up and goes, "Blessed is everyone who eats bread in the kingdom of God." I mean, he felt like blessed all of a sudden. This guy just started proclaiming something. Blessed is everyone who eats bread in the kingdom of God.
I'll go back. I can't read it.
What's that?
You're saying one of the guests hearing this said to him, "Blessed is the one who will dine in the kingdom of God." But then his reply to him was, "A man gave a great dinner to which he invited many."
Okay, keep going. I think how Jesus responds to this, by the way. He tells a story again. What happens now?
What?
Then, okay,
Jesus?
when the time for dinner came, he dispatched his servant to say to those invited, "Come, everything is now ready." But one by one, they all began to excuse themselves.
Wait, Elisa, hold on. I want to clarify something. Guys, this right here, this transition, little segue that Jesus is doing, is the most important part of this story. So pay attention.
Right, it's an allegory. It's an allegory.
Well,
he's
transitioning. He's transitioning. Hold on. He's using humility. Using humility. And now, Elisa, go ahead and read verse 16 and 17. Well, you're already on 17. So go ahead and read verse 17. Okay.
I just read it.
Are
He
we-
said that he
go
said,
ahead.
come, everything now is ready. And
Okay.
then one by one, they all began to give excuses. The first one
Okay.
said to him, I have purchased a field and must go to examine it. I ask you, consider me excused. Then the other one said, I have purchased 5 yoke of oxen and am on my way to evaluate them. I ask you,
Hey,
consider
this
me
next
excused.
one. Yeah, this next one, every guy feels the same way. So go ahead and read verse 20.
And another said, I've just married a woman and therefore I cannot come.
There you go.
I could say something right now, but I'm going to keep my mouth
I'm
shut.
glad you said something because I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say it. Not me.
That was terrible. Go ahead.
Well, imagine if the Lord was calling you and you said, I'm coming.
All those guys are in trouble. I'm pretty sure about that.
Well, you know what Gomer Pyle would say? Gomer Pyle would say, oh, you're going to hell for that.
So now I see why Pharisees went to his servant at this point and said, go quickly into the streets and find a blind person,
No.
a lame person, a poor person.
Don't go ahead of me. Lisa, hold on. You almost got it. I don't want to go too fast because I really want you to get it. Now, just bear with me. Now, see, he's telling a story. A man once gave a great banquet and invited many people. Now, think about what the Pharisees loved at this time. If they and their rich relatives were invited to a feast, how did they feel? Very honored, right? Okay. Pharisees love banquets. That's why Jesus is talking to them about banquets, because they love banquets. Now, look what happens here. And he's going to begin to tell a story.
Well, Chad,
and
come on, Chad, you know how Jews are with food. Come on. It's,
Especially when it's
sacred.
free. Especially when
It's
it's
sacred,
free.
you know?
Exactly.
Yes.
You come into a Jewish house, and what do they say? Have you eaten today? Come on.
Oh, nice. I'd eat with you guys. I love to eat. Now look what happens here. Okay. Jesus is going to tell a story about a banquet, and now the part with the 3 men, they're going to think this is very unrealistic. Okay, but Jesus is making a point about something that is going to conclude at the end of this. Okay. They all began to make excuses. The first guy bought a field, and he must go see it. He doesn't have time to go to this feast.
The other one
Pharisees would have laughed at that. That's ridiculous. Because you bought a field, who cares? Can't you go see it after the banquet? You know. The second one said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I must go examine them. Dude, the oxen can wait. They're not going to die. Have the banquet and go later. And then the third one is pretty humorous. And I would say it was probably the most humorous thing Jesus ever said. It really true. I'm not making that up. Jesus never made a crack a joke at all. But
That's
I'll tell you,
true.
if he ever wanted to be humorous at all in his ministry, it was at this one, verse 20. Another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Okay, so verse 21. So the servant came and reported these things to his master. So you heard about all these guests who can't come because of their lame excuses. Then the master of the house became angry and said to his servant, go out quickly to the streets and the lanes of the city and bring in the poor and the crippled, blind, and the lame. Now, what if you were a self-righteous Pharisee, Mark, Felix, and Elisa? Let's just imagine you are for a moment. And you heard that these high-up people were invited to a feast. They didn't go because of these lame excuses. You think that's humorous enough. But then the master of the feast says, fine, they won't come. Go out into the streets and the lanes in the city and bring in the poor, the crippled, and the blind and the lame. What are the Pharisees thinking right now?
Bring in the real people. People that,
no, they're not thinking that.
That are
they're
humble
not thinking
and...
that.
Well, I am.
Well, I know you are. I'm asking you, what are the Pharisees thinking?